Hey everyone, a big welcome to the Forge Ahead show, hosted by me, Nick Elston, inspirational speaker, creator of unique mental health engagement strategies, a transformational speaking coach, and a mentor to have in your corner. The Forge Ahead show brings you the storytellers, the influencers, the people who have gone from adversity to excitement, forging something better, something beautiful, something powerful. So stay tuned, dive in, and be inspired by today's very special guest. Hey everyone, and a big welcome back to the Forge Ahead show, season 2, episode 9. And today I've got a treat for you. I have the wonderful Alex Blake. Big round of applause for Alex.
Hello.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, Nick. How you doing?
So we're going to talk about lockdown. Really good, thank you. But I noticed the chops. You've now got the chops as well, which is really cool. So you got that beard you never had this time last year.
That's it. Trying to copy you a little bit, I think.
Bless you. We'll come on to that. I think that's really, really important kind of factor we're going to come on to. But for now, tell people who you are, what you do, what you're about, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine you're on the chase and I've just welcomed you onto the show.
Okay, I'll try and keep it short and brief then. So my name's Alex, and it was probably about a year ago I actually first met Nick. And I basically had this idea of setting up my own kind of business all around mental health, basically, with the aim of kind of getting into schools, colleges, universities, workplaces, wherever really, and just kind of spread my message, I guess, and where you kind of have been, where I've been in such a low place for such a long period of my life, to kind of overcome that. I felt there was something like burning within me that I could just share with everyone and anyone, that if I could get through it, then other people could too. So that was the kind of crux of it, I guess. And obviously just trying to build up my knowledge alongside it with different mental health illnesses and learn how to set up a business and everything like that that goes with it.
I love that, brother. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and like you said, it's a whole different set of challenges. But yeah, I mean, running a business and being self-employed generally there's not one week goes by that I don't want to press that big red eject button and go back to doing something nice and safe and cushy and that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So I absolutely get that on lots of different levels. Right, where do we start with this? So your business is called P.M.A, obviously, positive mental attitude, obviously.
Obviously.
We say obviously now because I think that I spoke about this on the last episode out. We had an amazing guest in James Perryman, who's a communications expert. Now, he's also a speaker, a stage speaker, and he was saying about that perception of an audience that when they're listening to me and you talking about this kind of stuff, they think, hallelujah, these guys are cured. Absolutely not. We manage our shit daily, and that's kind of where we need to go with this. And it's that vulnerability but also the clarity of your message that really shone through. So as context to that, we first met through, I think it was through like LinkedIn initially, or social media generally, back in the days when I was on social media. We'll probably come on to that too. It's like a rabbit hole effect. We're getting different things. But we met, and I invited you along to my speaking academy because you said you had an ambition to deliver a message. It was not just a message of where you are now, inspiration and motivation and positive mental attitude, but also to share your story. Now, of the whole room of people that were on that call, and bear in mind it was online and we were really new with online sharing at that point. You spoke with so much clarity, and also that you conveyed so much emotion to the room. But I also know, as somebody who has been there, you were also having to really struggle and fight to manage your own emotions whilst you were delivering. How easy has it become to share vulnerability, and how has it impacted you in a positive way?
Because when I went on to your kind of coaching academy or speaking academy, I had this idea that I wanted to set my own business up, and it was all around public speaking, but I'd never public spoken before. And every time I was like, and so I still work for a finance company at the moment. When I used to see the boss speak at like annual events and stuff, I used to just have fear, just think, oh, imagine if that was me, I'd just fall on my feet and stuff. And then speaking about a topic which is obviously quite dark, and you don't normally want to talk about it through people judging or showing weakness, I guess. I kind of just wanted to, I knew the end goal of what I wanted to do. So I have to do this. Otherwise, what's the alternative? So it's kind of, even if I was getting a bit emotional at times, it was like, I had to kind of stick with it. And just get through the bad, and over time, obviously, like anything, you practice it, you get better at it, don't you? So.
Exactly, and as you've experienced over the past year, because your growth has been phenomenal, and it's been such a pleasure to kind of watch from afar, or be it virtually. We feel a lot closer now, just to see where that's going. And actually, now it's P.M.A. is obviously a thing. It's out there as active on your T-shirt, for God's sake. So we're all good. It's nice positioning. I love it. It's good. It's really cool. But it's really important to kind of stress that you've done this to the backdrop of a pandemic and a backdrop to things like lockdown. So there's certainly been good and bad wrapped up in this, hasn't there? It's given you a little bit more time to get focused on this stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, I think like I say, I basically launched it September last year. So obviously lockdowns before and after. And when I was kind of telling everyone, I had like a 6-month plan of from scratch to getting practice to building a business, etc. A lot of my friends were maybe skeptical. My family were kind of saying, "What are you doing?" We're in a pandemic. Well. Yeah, we're in a pandemic. Like you've got a job, that should be fine. But for me, like it's all well and good. But I was like, I know I can use this as an opportunity. There's time on my hands now where I can really use the time wisely to come out the other side of it. It gives me a focus during it for one, so it actually helps me get through it. And then long term, if I'm doing stuff daily that's gonna progress me, then I'll be in a better position a year down the line rather than feeling like I'm stuck in the same place almost.
Yeah, absolutely. I think certainly it's been a theme on the show, actually talking to professional speakers. And let's take the kind of the mythology away from professional speaking. It means you've been paid to speak once. So let's take away that kind of fluff there. So, but looking to other professional speakers, we kind of think that the platform that we have means that we need to put kind of this mask on. And I think that the way that you deliver, the way that I deliver certainly kind of goes against that to our benefit. So we deliver that thing that I call emotional storytelling, that we deliver our emotions through the power of telling a story. Now, that will make a lot of people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Now, I remember very well the days where you are right now, people saying to me, that's not a job. It's barely a hobby, but it's not a job. You can't make a living doing that. And whatever you say right now, mate, that's not going to change anybody's minds. Yeah. It's the only way you do it is by achieving that massive success that you want to achieve from this. And you will. You absolutely will if you keep on keeping on, as they say. Yeah. However, for those people considering this kind of move, it is scary, it is daunting. And let's face it, the last time I checked with Halifax, the mortgage doesn't get paid on dreams and missions. So there's also that element we need to pay the bills too. Yeah. I've shared on there a couple of times before that my thing, whilst I was doing the things that you are now, setting up the business and getting out there and speaking to audiences, I was working for Tesco 36 hours a week delivering groceries around what I was trying to achieve. But again, even within that, there are opportunities everywhere. And you're a great example of this in action right now, that you're having to do what you need to do sometimes.
Yeah.
But you sometimes need that kind of plan A to get to a plan B even.
Yeah. That's
and there could be plan C's, D's, and E's and F's along the way as well. Who knows?
Yeah. I think, sorry, carry on.
No, I was going to say, so where are you right now in terms of what you're delivering, what kind of audiences, but also where do you want to go to?
Yeah. So at the moment, like you said, it's kind of working a full-time job and also doing this. So my kind of free time is very limited, but I'm making the most of every lunchtime, evenings, weekends, mornings, whenever I get the opportunity, really. Yeah. And obviously I need a stable income to eat and stuff like that. And
eating is quite up there with breathing, really, isn't it?
Yeah. But so I've done a handful of talks, I would say, to various kind of corporate companies in finance or IT. So that's not my previous experience was in those two industries. Okay, and I've got one coming up at Solent University, so like my local university, really.
Fab.
And the one I'm talking to one of the lecturers about at the moment is to return to Brighton University, which is where I went and when I had to leave due to my mental health declining.
Wow.
So that one's going to be a big one. I'm obviously already worried that I can keep it all together when I talk there, but I'm sure I'll be all right. But it's just that'll be a big one, I think. For me. I really want to do it face to face as well, rather than virtually, just to be back in the area and see everything.
Yeah, I would. I think for me, it was certainly wait for a face-to-face opportunity for that one specifically.
Yeah.
The reason, it's what I call your end of part one move, is that mine was at XL London, where I was 5 years before that event, I was being taken out of there by St. John's Ambulance after having a panic attack at the show I was at. I wasn't even speaking. I was just walking around trying to nick the goodie bags off the stands when the sales guys weren't looking. We've all been there, mate. Don't judge. But within 5 years, I've now been booked to speak there in my own right in front of thousands of people. Now, that kind of journey is a relatively short space of time to get that platform. So when I went, I had those feelings that you have now. I'm thinking like, this is going to mean too much in a way. How am I going to do this? And the way that I did it was, it said this was back on the days I was really active on things like Twitter and stuff. And I'd call it end of part one. So I turned it all into a bit of a game in that sense. Yeah, it turned it into a bit of a story that people could engage with. So actually, when they come to my session, they knew it was going to mean a lot. So they had my back right from the start, even before they'd taken their seats. Yeah. So I would do that. I would turn it into this Alex Blake end of part one.
I like that.
But what's part two going to look like? What are you aiming for?
So part two, well, obviously a long time, I want to do this full time. And I want to speak to as many audiences as I can. Eventually, the plan is to do it to different countries if I can. And anywhere that speaks English, really, because I'm not very good with foreign languages. But if I can speak to bigger audiences and see more places, I just look at it as there's more people in a crowd that I can help, basically. Yeah. So if I'm speaking, say the stat before the pandemic was 1 in 4 go through a mental health illness every year, which has probably gone up a lot since the pandemic. Yeah. So if you've got a crowd of 100, then what maths is 25? There you go. So it'd be 25 people I could help with a crowd of 100. So I look at it that way. There's more people I can help, really.
Absolutely. And speaking is alive and well. I mean, actually now it's easier for the international engagements for sure. I mean, there's a day coming up very shortly where I'm delivering to South Africa, Australia, UK, and finishing off in the US. I think that's the order. I'm not good with time zones. And I don't speak any foreign languages either. Bristolian to South African's an interesting one. But absolutely doable now more than ever. So again, even within the challenges and the backdrop of the adversity we're facing, there are opportunities within that as well. So more power to your elbow.
Yeah.
So what's your definition of helping audiences, mate?
So I think kind of showing where I'm not, I don't know, the finished product, I guess, or I'm very professional or whatever like that. I'm just like the average person, I guess. So showing people that I'm not perfect, even though I strive for perfection, and just getting people to understand, I guess, from my perspective, life isn't predictable. It kind of, you don't know one day to the next what's going to happen kind of thing. If you can kind of focus on your internal story and have confidence in yourself, then that's going to go a long way and give you the confidence. Or if you suffer with social anxiety, so every time you're going out of the house to meet people, if you're always worried about what other people are thinking, if you can kind of change the thinking to, well, actually, no, what will they think about me, or how and what? If you focus on yourself, basically, you do improve yourself a lot, and just becomes easier dealing with everyday life.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think that, again, it comes back down to that definition of professional. The professional just means you get paid. That's it. So, I mean, and I shared this with you, and it's important. This is why personal brand is so important. Anybody watching this right now or listening to this right now, your personal brand is the most precious thing you can ever possess. Yeah. So even if you run and own a successful company, you look at Richard Branson, Elon Musk, they're all key people of influence over and above their company. So your personal brand is huge. Now, I will rock up at the biggest law firms in the world with jeans, check shirt, cap, and I'm probably thinking, who the hell is this guy? Because actually it's me. There's two reasons, actually. The first reason is if I'm going to deliver authenticity, that I need to be as I am. Yeah. The second reason is if I'm going to be self-employed for potentially the first time ever, I'll dress what the hell I want. And there's that bloody-minded element to it as well.
Yeah.
So I think you also mentioned that kind of pursuit of perfection, but obviously that can lead to things like imposter syndrome. Now, in my audiences at the moment, perfectionism and imposter syndrome are right up there. What are you finding from your audiences, Alex?
So the ones what I've been focusing on a lot at the moment is kind of managing stress. So whether that is in a workplace environment from 18 onwards, obviously there's stress. You're always stressed. Stress is a part of life, basically. So, and obviously with like the increased deadlines, so even with the pandemic, certain companies are busier than ever because maybe their model is more suited to working online or virtually or whatever. But even like university or other kind of college students, they've got the stress of deadlines, of a new start and having to make an impression on their peers and stuff like that. So that's like the common theme, is that stress is part of life, but if it's managed in the right way, it can actually benefit you and like give you an advantage almost, rather than making it look like something that you try and avoid, or you're fearful of doing things just because your brain's going to explode almost. But
yeah, I get that. I mean, that's where my strapline of forging people come from, that we can let our adversities and our challenges define us negatively for the rest of our days, or we can actually harness it. It can forge something better, something beautiful, something powerful, whatever that may be to you. So I absolutely get that. In terms of, are you looking to be solution focused in terms of qualifying to be a coach, counselor, medical professional, or are you following the lived experience path that I've chosen?
I think more so the lived experience path, like yourself, because I think that's just unique to myself then. And obviously there's plenty of counsellors, psychologists, etc., who are probably much better than me at doing it. And I think I wouldn't want to go from the side of having the professional qualification, and I've studied very hard. I just, that kind of way, if you know what I'm saying, rather than I've had to experience it myself for many years. Hopefully I want people to be able to approach me and be able to just have a conversation without thinking, especially for men, like if you were to go to a counsellor for the first time and sit down in the chair, it's all very formal and you feel like you can't maybe open up or say anything that's on your mind. I certainly did myself when I first went. I had to write on a bit of A4 paper everything I was thinking and just hand it over because I physically couldn't talk about it.
Wow.
And rather than being that formal approach, I think if I could have it more like a friendly person approach, then they're more likely to open up and start to solutions. And you can always signpost to professionals later down the line if
that's exactly it. I mean, so we do have a responsibility, but that responsibility isn't to fix, like everybody who's not a medical professional, but it is to actively signpost. And I personally think I absolutely understand and I'm with you 100% that lived experience can be the perfect vehicle to drive engagement to the solutions that are in place. There are solutions in place, publicly and privately, but however, taking away those barriers to step up is difficult. I mean, I'm quite openly share that in January, I kind of resumed talking therapy and counselling, and as a proactive tool for me this time. And I went through that same process, that same validation process, that I felt vulnerable, I felt afraid, I felt like, what am I doing here kind of thing. And I felt all those things that I would talk about willingly all the time, but because it was me, I felt those things. Exactly. And I think you also touch on the men thing. Not exclusively men, but especially with men in the UK predominantly, that we've been taught to believe that self-care is selfish. So man up, stiff upper lip, all those kind of things, that we'll feel guilty when we put ourselves before anything or anyone. Now that's across gender. But also when you look at things like sexuality, you look at gender, you look at race, you look at all these kind of different areas, that ultimately I found that the underlying thing is that all of these challenges affects our sense of belonging, that we don't feel we can aspire to be any better, that we're not worth any more. So actually a lot of our stuff comes down to as much about self-belief and personal development as it does about mental health, isn't it?
Yeah, literally. I feel like when you kind of get on top of that side of things, everything else in your life just seems better as well. Because no matter, say you're very successful financially or you've got a great relationship, if you're not happy in yourself, then none of that matters. I used to look at it like when I was very depressed and suicidal for a while, I couldn't see the point in exercising to prolong my life when I didn't want to be here anymore because I didn't enjoy life. So it was like, what was the point of that? But now it's kind of flip side of that is actually I enjoy my life. I enjoy certain things in it. I want to be around for longer, so maybe I will exercise and things like that. It's just it's a change of mindset, I guess.
It's kind of like we all have. Again, this came up a couple of episodes ago, that we have all these kind of all the answers we'll ever need, but they may be in the wrong order. So it's kind of like having all the ingredients, but not the recipe to put it together. I mean, if you wouldn't mind, would you mind sharing your journey and actually how you got to be on my doorstep, my virtual doorstep last March?
Yeah, okay. So how long have we got?
Go nuts. You got as long as you like.
So kind of like a brief overview is, I think it all started leaving college and having to make the decisions of what I do with my life. I think before that, maybe I had my insecurities anyway of being with my friends and what do I say, what do I do, how do I act and stuff. And it kind of stemmed on from that to start with, this constant narration in a voice, just feeling like stuck in my head. So no matter what I did, whether it was football or sport or music, it was only like a temporary fix. And as soon as that would stop, it would be back to just talking to myself in my head. And then certain things kind of happen, like they happen in everyone's lives. Certain events trigger things, I guess. And 2011 was a bad year. I remember like 3 significant things happening. And then going on from there, just working in a real stressful job and thinking I was just kind of wasting my life almost, and just looking forward to the weekends to do it all again, and just feel like I wasn't getting anywhere. I thought I'd just put it all on the line to go to uni and finally do something I really wanted to do, what I was passionate about. So I put it all on the line, moved away from home, left my friends and family, went to uni to study sport or PE teaching even. And I thought this is gonna be great. It's gonna be my savior. Putting everything on the line for that and feeling so excited for about 4 months before it. And about 3 months into it, I was like, reality hit, and I was obviously very lonely. There was only like 8 hours a week I was actually with students, and the rest of the time I wasn't working or playing sport because I was injured. I was just in my room, and I was like, wow, this is horrible. And just kind of, I put so much on that to fix me. When I realized that wasn't going to be the case, I was like, I can't go back to my old life. So I didn't see a way out. And that kind of became a daily, hourly, minute battle of avoiding committing suicide, basically. And it was horrible. And it went on for about 4 months. So I just wasn't sleeping. I couldn't make eye contact or speak to anyone. And yeah, I basically planned it for a couple months, trying to shut everyone out. Until the day I actually thought, no, I'm motivating myself to do it almost. And it's just kind of a bit of stupid me. I basically went to this place and it was too early, it was shut. So I panicked, went to the next place, and my mum basically called me, have like mother's instincts, I guess, and saved my life. Cut a long story short, so I made a promise to her that I wouldn't do it. And that was 22nd of March, 2016. So over 5 years ago, and I made that long-term plan then to get better myself. And once I was better, I knew I could stop other people doing it, I guess. That there was light at the end of a long dark tunnel sometimes.
Amazing. So, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. So how did you make those first steps into getting help?
So the reason I think I chose that day was because I knew I had a doctor's appointment that night. Because I think my girlfriend at the time, basically, she obviously was living with me, so seeing how affected I was. But I was very good at hiding it in person. But then she would deal with the aftermath as soon as I was away from everyone. So I knew I didn't want to go talk about everything, because I was like, it's going to be such a long journey getting better, and I can't get through it. I'm not strong enough. So when I obviously couldn't do it and I had to go to the doctors that night, that was the kind of start of, okay, you're being prescribed medication, and that was it. You're on your way. And I was like, I don't want to be here. Like, why am I just taking medication and I'm going to be fixed? But obviously a lot of medication types later, and different counselling, therapies, talking to people, trying things I like and stuff, you find the formula that works for you. And I think just it's not one thing fits all, because obviously mental illness is very complex and it affects everyone differently. But if you can get like the right principles in and realize it's not just one thing fits all, and keep going until something works for you, you will find something, and slowly but surely you can change your mindset and actually start enjoying life again, start smiling and laughing, and all's good in the world again.
Thank you so much. I love that, and really kind of ties in with kind of my own experience of recovery as well, and how we can make those little changes, like those tweaks. There's an amazing book by Sarah Harvey on Kaizen, the Japanese art of Kaizen, which is making those incremental changes, those little tweaks to produce bigger picture results. And I think it takes away that boom and bust nature of our mental health for sure.
Yeah.
So last week was, as we both know, Mental Health Awareness Week for 2021. The theme was nature. We'll come on to that in a second. However, I guess you'll experience the same as me. A lot of what we need to set out is to readdress this term mental health, because it's got a bad rap. It's just a neutral state, like physical health. Whether it's good or bad is a whole different thing. But mental health has got a bad rap. So what does a positive mental health look like for you? And if we've already admitted, as we do, because we're very open people, as we do get our days where we wake up not feeling life, we feel a bit meh. What do you do, Alex Blake, to bring yourself back in that moment? What's your playbook to manage your state effectively?
I would say for mental health, it's basically, I guess, if you're feeling good in yourself, you're present. It can be as simple as that. So you're living day to day and you're really engaging in whatever you're doing at that moment. So if you're talking to someone, if you're on the phone, if you're working, if you're listening to a podcast or whatever it is, you're truly focused on that one thing. You're mindful. And I think, yeah, obviously with someone who suffers, I still suffer, you potentially obviously had issues as well. It's knowing that on the bad days, you've survived 100% before, so you'll get through it, and it's just kind of finding those helpful coping mechanisms that are going to help you. So whether that is literally just shutting off technology and going out for walks in nature, picking up the phone to a loved one. I personally, I get lost in music or podcasts, even if it's even if it's emotional music. Although it makes me feel sad at the time, it relates to the way I'm feeling, so it's like a comforting thing.
Yeah, I get that.
I just purely just listen to the words, and I've probably got some songs I've listened to too many times, but it's like to ride it out almost, and then until you're feeling a bit better and like, okay, we'll get off my bed now and go do something productive. But
yeah,
it's managing it really on a day-to-day basis, and knowing you don't always have to be 100 miles an hour. It's okay to rest. Like, life is long.
Yeah, exactly. That's the plan anyway. You mentioned music. What kind of music do you like?
So my favourite band is Kings of Leon, but I have I've very varied taste. So there's certain bands I haven't seen that I want to see live, like Coldplay or Mumford and Sons. But
Okay.
that kind of changes to, I like Post Malone, Juice WRLD. It's very rare. Very varied. And then it's Adele. It's complete one to the other, I guess. Like, I like folk music, dance, house music, like Bicep. It's very varied, depending on how I'm feeling. Like, I'll be up and dance in the kitchen, or very mellow, just lying on my sofa or something.
Nice. I like that. I think I'm with you. Music. I mean, I love country music, as everybody knows on here. That's my thing. I think it's because of the storytelling element of country music. It tells a story, and like you said, there is some comfort in kind of a little wallowing, should we say, in those kind of those blue kind of feeling songs. Don't want to spend too long there, because it's obviously not a good thing.
That's true. Yeah.
But I do feel that, and I think music's really powerful. We'll come on to that right at the end, because we've got a question to ask you, which I ask all my guests.
Okay.
But I guess, like, in the meantime, P.M.A. is an amazing way forward for a lot of people. I think people forget that a lot of our mental health can be positively influenced. And it's a miles and miles of difference between mental health and mental illness. And having experienced both of those kind of extremes, I guess, mental health for me needs to be considered a muscle, something we can exercise, something that we can influence every day. Whereas mental illness absolutely needs to be professionally treated. And whilst we're on that, we've obviously mentioned the subject of things like suicide as well. If anybody does need help, the link's on the screen now. Please do reach out for help wherever you are. So I think, what's next for P.M.A. is the first question, but also I want to kind of throw into the mix you're a younger generation than I. Quite a lot of people are now, I've found. But when it comes to things like social media and tech, and you've already mentioned the digital switch off, that kind of stuff, how does that influence our lives, and what can we do about that effectively?
Yeah, I think technology is massive, obviously, because where I'm a 90s child, obviously I was probably one of the last generation to knock on doors, play knock door run, or ride on bikes and play till it's dark every night, to then the generation of technology taking over, and then the mobile generation of being glued to your phones almost. And I think as long as you can manage it, technology is amazing, because we wouldn't be talking right now without it. And
exactly,
you can reach, it's unlimited. If you've got a phone with an internet connection, you can speak to them no matter where you are in the world. But then obviously you do get lost, and if you are just kind of scrolling on social media with no end goal, or just trying to waste time, you can get lost in the white noise and just get addicted to it almost. So I think that's the bit where it's got to kind of be managed, and as long as you've got the balance right, then technology is a good thing, but you don't want it to consume you too much, basically.
And that's right. There's a Harvard study that said that between, I think it's 18 and 29-year-olds, that social media was the biggest anxiety trigger. But in the same survey with the same demographic, it was also the biggest source of positive community for mental health. So
go.
it's not the platforms, it is our immersion. If I'm honest, there are a lot of times where I don't feel that I kind of sacrifice that choice, so I will end up what they call doom scrolling now. There's actually a term for it now. And it does end up negatively impacting you, which is why at the moment I choose not to do that, apart from like LinkedIn and YouTube and stuff. But I also think especially with the education audience, so schools and colleges, that there's a big risk that we put our value and our worth and our accountability in the likes, shares and retweets that we have. So if our opinion isn't validated by one of those things, we don't feel it's worth having, when I think that's quite a dangerous thing.
Yeah, I think, like if you're constantly say putting up a post to see how many likes it's going to get, and you're constantly looking for external gratification, then you're going to be losing, because if you get 100 likes, okay, now I want 120, and it's just numbers are infinite, so it's never going to end. But if you're putting out content or something that you feel is true to you, I guess it doesn't matter if you get no likes or no views. If you're feeling like it's what your message is, and it's going to get heard, and people might not like it, but it's what you believe, then I think that you're doing it the right way, as long as you're focusing on that reason, I guess, rather than external gratification, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And so all of Alex's links and stuff is in the bio. Please do connect with him. He's a really top bloke. Really strongly suggest you catch up with him, ask him any questions. I'm sure he's happy to hear from you. Now, when it comes to P.M.A, obviously, you've spoken about your future for speaking. Do you ever envisage more? Do you, as a business, is it a platform? Is it a movement? What do you envisage going forward aside from your speaking work?
Yeah, sure. So obviously I've got, it's what keeps me going, I guess, in a way, that I've got all these big goals, and just a lot of people, they're probably crazy and never gonna happen. But if you start small and it all adds up, eventually I would want it to kind of just not take over, I guess, but like have kind of like, I don't know if there was social groups around the UK that you could meet. There's one that already does it, I think, called Andy's Man Club. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yes, I have. There's also in the Southwest, it might be more than that, there's a talk club as well. So I get the concept.
Something like that for people that can talk and just have a laugh, and people, it's like a community, so you feel like you belong somewhere. Obviously talking is great, but you can only they only see you for an hour or whatever it is, and it's hard to kind of get across everything in that hour. If I want obviously to extend it to working one-on-one with people, so you can spend more time with them and find out what works for them. Just any way I can share my message, really, and get people talking, belonging, and seeing the positive in life, I guess. So there's a lot I want to do, but it's just obviously it's being patient.
I love it. I mean, we had an amazing lady on the show back in the early, I think it's earlier this season, called Taz Thornton, and we were talking about mental health as an industry, and how it really kind of doesn't sit well with us, that there's so much kind of competition or kind of that precious behavior. And I said that I worked for years in corporate sales and client facing stuff, and it was less competitive than people in well-being generally. Of course, this is a generalism. And even people will say, why do I promote mental health speakers? Why do I coach people to do what I do? Well, actually, because it's an era of collaboration when it comes to things like this. And you mentioned like other talk groups. There's always room for more talk groups. And actually, it's where collaboration is at. I guess where I'm going with this is that when it comes to things like mental health, it's more than a business. It's more than an industry. It's kind of a movement. But we need to appreciate each other's niches. And it could be something like age. It could be something like the demographic we deliver to. It could be the lived experience or solution focused or whatever you are. Have you had any experience of that in the moment, about kind of either people keeping your arm's length if they feel that you're competition, or actually bringing you forward to try and ride on your coattails? Or
touched on that, because obviously when I obviously spoke to you about a year ago, I was basically saying I want to be like you, and obviously without my own kind of take on it and stuff, but I aspire to be like what you're doing. So obviously I think especially with our kind of the mental health side of it, the more people that talk about it, the better, surely, because you're going to reach out more people. Someone might connect with you more than they kept with me, or vice versa. But the more people that do it, the better, because where it's not corporate sales or competition, with mental health, it's not competition. It's just coming together as one almost to like enjoy life and share experiences and just take life for what it is and not really, I don't know, just get out your heads almost and not be too worried about stuff. But if everyone works together, then more people can enjoy life, because there's so many people that suffer, and that's what I can't ever get my head around. And whenever I hear someone like famous has committed suicide or whatever, it's almost like one suicide is one too many. So
yeah, absolutely. Amen to that, brother. Love that. Brilliant. So I've just been made the MC of O2 Arena. 20,000 people have paid their hard-earned money to come and hear you do your thing. I'm just about to announce you to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Alex Blake. Your walk-on music kicks in. What would that walk-on track be?
Without a doubt, Kings of Leon, my favourite band, and it's a song called Be Somebody. So given a chance, I want to be somebody.
Amazing. What does that mean to you, that song?
I was actually listening to it on the car this morning because I knew I was talking to you, and I just put it on. I just felt great because I was getting like goosebumps almost. Like, visualizing, just making an impact, I guess, and making an impact in a positive way. And I don't know, even if it's just a short time you're touching someone's life, almost, just to be remembered in a good way. And I guess everyone really wants to, like, I guess, leave a legacy or something to be remembered by. And I want to be remembered for helping people and seeing the positive in the world.
Beautiful thing. You're a beautiful man, Mr. Alex Blake.
Isn't it?
Thank you so much, buddy. Really great to have you on. Thank you for donating your time to be with us today. It's been a real pleasure. I'd also love to get you back to the Speaking Academy, but this time as one of my guest pro speakers. So I will be in touch about that. That will be amazing.
Thanks for having me, Nick, as well. I appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. So that's it for today. So thank you very much for everybody for tuning in to the Forge Ahead Show, Season 2, Episode 9, Mr. Alex Blake. Stay tuned. Next week we will be back. We will have Carl Reeder, an amazing guy I've shared a stage with a couple of times. We speak at some of the same events, big stage events, conference hall events, and he'll be sharing his experiences, his insights and motivations as a professional speaker, but as just an all-round good bloke like our Alex did today. So thank you so much, guys. I'll see you soon. You take care. Bye-bye. Bye. And that's a wrap. A big thank you for tuning in to today's show. Please stay tuned and hit subscribe for future episodes, bringing you amazing guests, sharing amazing content and amazing insights. Really excited to bring you these. The Forge Ahead Show is sponsored by nickelston.com. If you want to connect with me, you can find all the ways possible through the website. If you want to drop me a message, always great to hear from you. But in the meantime, if I don't catch you before, I'll see you at the next episode. And you take care, guys. Cheers now. Bye. Bye-bye.